In this video, we'll be talking about the Consolidated Report, which you can find in the Financial Planning block of ASMX. We briefly mentioned it in the video about expense categories. Once you have reached this screen, click on this icon to view the Consolidated Report. Here it is. Now we can analyze the income that a business earns and how that income is spent. As you can see, the report is broken up into monthly columns. On the right side, you can find totals for the whole year. You can change which year to display by clicking here. Since on this example account we only have data concerning the year of 2016, we can only choose this year. All of the data displayed here is automatically taken from other tabs of financial planning. The expenses displayed here are only for transactions that have actually occurred. Ones that have only been approved will not be shown here. Horizontally, the report is broken up into blocks. The first block shows us types of income with monthly total numbers. Here we can see wholesale and retail sales, as well as whether we have earned any profit at all. Up next is the raw materials and supplies block, displayed in which are the resources which make up our margin. On this example account, we have spare parts, equipment, and hardware as expense categories, but in a real business there will likely be many more. This block shows us how much money has been spent on expense categories of these types and subtracts that amount from revenue, showing the difference one tile lower. Up next are production costs. Here we can see the expense category transport expenses, which we created last video. Your business would also likely have something similar if you deliver any of your products around stores. Just like the last block, this one also calculates the total amount of money spent on these expenses and subtracts it from the total. The fourth block shows the summaries for additional expenses, things like bank credit fees. As we mentioned last video, one type of expense can only be in one expense category. That way, it can only be attributed to the correct section of this report in calculating our margin. We are sometimes asked which expense category to assign this or that type of expense to. The final decision is yours to make, of course, but the aim of dividing everything into categories is to make it easy to display and understand exactly how the income forms and gets spent in your business, and, naturally, to improve it. First, to understand whether there is any profit at all and how large it is. Secondly, what sort of margin forms and how expensive are the raw materials and supplies that are used. After that, to understand how much more money we need to spend to earn that margin. Aside from the rent payments and transport costs, employee salaries and customs fees could also be included here. And finally, to understand what additional pressure lies on the business. These could be expenses such as credit fees, legal fees, or insurance payments. That concludes today's tutorial. As always, we will be happy to answer your questions in the comments below.